Advanced Police Motor School. Had an awesome couple days. I want to tell you guys a little bit about it. Hey guys, welcome back. Ryan Erlacher here, lawabidingbiker.com. Thanks for checking in. So I get asked a lot, of course, the police, the regular paying law enforcement motors job. I'm so tied up with Law Abiding Biker media stuff and pumping that content out. But we get emails, I get a lot of questions, and I know there's a lot of you that are interested. So I figured I'd do a quick video on a recent 2-day advanced motor officer school that I attended, and it was awesome, super fun. I'm stoked about it, and I'll give you just a little bit of behind the scenes and what that's all about. So just to give you a background, it varies throughout the United States on what kind of training that motors officers actually get, if any, and I honestly don't know what each state, what their rules are. Here, in my particular agency, I'm very, very blessed, and in our state, we have some really awesome high-end training. Still doesn't mean that all agencies and motors officers in Washington state go through the same training, but the motors officers that I do train with, again, it is high end, and we're very lucky to have access to a lot of things like the recent track that we went to, which I'm going to talk about. So a motors officer actually starts here. The typical would be, again, there's no real cut and dry standard. We hold ourselves to a very high standard. After all, it's our life. We're out there every day on the motorcycles. But typically is you go to a basic motor school, which is like 2 weeks. And that's a lot of low speed type work, more or less. There is some high speed stuff, but that's the smallest portion of it. There is some higher speed threshold braking and things like that, but a lot of it is very, very technical riding. A lot of very tight comb patterns. They do introduce, a lot of stuff on the street too, group riding and pairs riding, but a lot of it, majority of it is that lower speed, very, very technical cone work. Now, once a motors officer has a little bit of time, obviously we always train. We've been training monthly around here, which is really cool, but there's also advanced motor school, and it is actually what I recently went to, and we try to go to that regularly too to keep up skills and really push ourselves and to get that experience, with the higher speeds. And so what they'll typically do, the training I went to, which was really awesome, it was actually at the Washington State Patrol Academy, which is about 3 hours, 3 hours west of where I live. It's over by Shelton. It's actually in Shelton, Washington, and it's over on the west side of the Cascades. And Washington State Patrol has a awesome, the best track probably for this type of use for us, but very, very open track. And so what we try to incorporate in advanced school and go to regularly is take a lot of those cone drills, those very, very technical cone drills, but then space them out and get a bunch of high speed, straightaways and corners and things like that in between the technical patterns. So you'll get up to speed, high speed, and then you'll have to dump it down and come into a more technical cone pattern, so to speak. And that, is realistic. And you actually have to have basic motor school, which is a 2-week school, and then a little bit of time under your belt before they'll even accept you in advanced motor school. And you can go to these schools, these advanced schools, over and over. But that's what it does, is very realistic to the street, where you're, maybe at a higher rate, and then you need to suddenly come in, slow down, and find your gray area and do some really technical cone riding. Now, also, this particular school, it's not all cones either. There are those patterns. We had, I think, 70 bikes at this particular conference, and I'd say 50 to 70, and they break it up in 3 different groups. Of course, you've got metric bikes there, and you've got Harleys. They try to, for the most part, group the metrics with the metrics and the Harleys with the Harleys. The group that you actually ride with, but there is intermingling, and in fact in our group we did have a bunch of metric bikes too. So aside from the cone pattern, it's not all that either. We actually, which is just the funnest part, one of the funnest part is no cones at all really, and we get to go around this track at the Washington State Patrol. Now, the way this track was designed, if you're not familiar with it, it was actually, the way it was engineered is, it's not like the kind of corners that you would expect to be engineered properly out on the road for the most part. What they did is they did some different types of engineering on a lot of this track and some different corners. And so what you'll find on this track, and it's to make you think, and to really test your abilities. Of course, they use cars on it too, police cars, but especially on motorcycles too, is it may be things like diminishing radius curves, which you can find out on the open road too, or the banks of the corners may be opposite of how they should be when they, maybe they should be sloped in and they're sloped out a little bit. And again, the weird diminishing radius and things like that. So it's kind of jacked up. They did it for a reason, because it really pushes you to the limit and makes you really pay attention to what you're doing. And those corners are made for you to realize, that you could get in over your head, both in a car, of course, and especially on a motorcycle, and to really make you use your apex and where you're looking and all the things that go along with high-speed riding on a motorcycle. Now, I love to film, and you guys know that, but I take my riding very seriously too. I did get some footage, and any of the footage you see in this particular vlog is from my GoPro cam on my helmet on my police motor. And so obviously you'll see some of that footage throughout this video, but I didn't have as much time as I thought, and that's okay. When I'm training, that's primary, and during the downtime or while I'm riding, of course, I try to get some footage. So I didn't get a ton of footage, but hopefully the stuff I did get is of interest, and you guys will find it interesting. Now, we talk about dragging floorboards. That's a common question a lot of people ask us. Yeah, on the Harleys we drag a lot. If you go to any of those competitions, you'll hear that scraping, floorboard supports and things like that. So let me show you this. So this is the Police Electroglide. One of these days I'm going to do a walk around and show you guys my entire bike. A lot of you guys ask, and all the different stuff on it and features, but if you come down here, this is pretty typical. Now, not just on the high-speed course, but all the time. This is a floorboard here, and I'll see how well you can see that, how thin it is right up in here. And you see how thick it is up here. This would be the normal floorboard. Let me actually show you my Street Glide here. So I drag it too, but obviously I don't ride it on courses all the time, but I do drag all the time. But so mine's wore a little bit, but that's how thick a floorboard should be. Now, if we come back over here to the Electroglide, yes, we grind these things down, and it's very, very common, and these will actually get razor sharp, so you have to be careful. I've cut my finger before. But you can see that back one hardly has anything. And of course, if we go down further, you'll see just how often we grind these. All these floorboard supports are grinded down and stuff. Very common when you're at a full lean, and to get around those courses and get through those tight courses, this kind of stuff drags. But this floorboard is definitely getting paper thin. I got some more in it, but I'll probably have to replace it. But that's a very common thing that you'll see and you'll hear if you ever go to any of these police schools. Oh, and I must say, the biker gripper, of course, our product, guys, the #1 sexiest, sleekest, strongest cell phone motorcycle mount, 18 pounds grip strength. It'll fit, big phones, small phones. I put my iPhone 6S Plus right up in there. This is a control mount. We also have universal mounts, but yes, I put these on all of our units, police bikes, for free. I donated them. My logo just came off of it there. They actually didn't want the logo on there, which I get it on the police bike, so that's why the biker gripper logo is in there, you guys that are familiar with that. But yeah, so we're running them all, and I get asked a lot. I've never had one go out. All the guys run them. Yes, bikes are dropped. Your phone will not come out of this thing. I'm telling you guys, trusted. And a lot of other agencies are starting to use these now, because I go to all these conferences and they see it and they think it's really awesome, and they ask me about it, of course, and I tell them actually it's our product. And a bunch of them at this recent conference were like, that's badass, so they're going to order a bunch up for their police motors, both metric and Harley, because you can get the universal too, universal mount. Yeah, biker gripper, lawabidingbiker.com/store, guys, if you want to get hooked up with the best motorcycle cell phone mount. All right, with that said, you can stay tuned if you want. I don't have a ton of video, but I have some pretty good footage. It's all GoPro. It is me. It's on top of my helmet going around a lot of this high-speed track. It's raw, and you'll get to hear some of the stuff. I'll leave it raw. I probably won't put music with it and stuff like that. But if you want to see some of the courses and some of what goes on, and you want to see a Harley go really fast. But I'll just show you some raw footage and some of the cone stuff too, some of the pairs or team riding. And if you want to stick around, enjoy it. Hope you guys are well. Thanks for tuning in. I hope that gave you a little bit of insight into Police Advanced Motor School in my neck of the woods anyways, guys. All right, laters.
It's just a little hot.
Someone shit earlier. What the hell?
That's why her order was confusing. So
Yeah, apparently.
I slowed it down.